Camps of Louisiana is a nonprofit organization founded here in North Louisiana back in 1987. It started as a one-week camp for then 13 children with asthma and has grown exponentially in all areas since then. We on average serve between 250 to 300 campers a year with disabilities that include everything from cerebral palsy to sickle cell anemia, Down syndrome, epilepsy, hearing, speech, and visual disabilities, and the list goes on from there. We've gone from operating 1 week of the summer back in 1987 to over 10 weeks of the summer. Over a 10-week period, we'll serve about 250 to 300 children. Early in my tenure as executive director at Med Camps, I'd gone up to Camp Aldersgate in Arkansas and taken a tour up there. And they had all these really cool structures. I mean, on the backside of their pond, they had a tree house that was wheelchair accessible. And so I just started asking questions. I was like, how did you get that? How did you get that tree house? How did you get that gathering space? And they told me about a really cool partnership they had formed with the University of Arkansas's design build program through their School of Architecture. And I immediately thought, well, I need to go back and visit with Carl Pouliak. And came home, visited with Carl for a little bit, and he was very open to the idea.
I've known Caleb outside of kind of med camps. I think just through being a member of the community around here, and we have talked for probably 5 or 6 years about an opportunity to collaborate. I got to know a little bit about the work of med camps through him, and then through students who've had summer experiences kind of helping out at the camp.
He brought us out to the camp and showed us Camp Alabama, and what a beautiful setting. And then he talked about what the camp does, what he does for the children, what the camp does for the children, and all of the opportunities that we had before us. And it was a win-win-win situation.
All we had at that point in time was a concrete pad with concrete benches or a concrete wall that ran around it that I don't even know the square footage of it, but it wasn't very big. And we talked about the need for a gathering place for all of our campers, both those campers that are in wheelchairs and those campers that are not, to be able to gather every morning and go over our camp rituals where we raise the flag and celebrate our freedom to camp, where we go over that day's announcements, and another gathering place behind our dining hall that could hold our entire camp instead of having just a portion of our campers in there and then having to use the parking lot of the dining hall to raise the flag and do other announcements. We wanted a facility that would, or a structure that would cover everyone.
When we considered all the different opportunities that were there, we felt like the greatest need and opportunity was in the kind of central meeting space and pavilion project that we ended up going with. The idea was go big or go home. Early in our design process, Caleb wanted us to be sure to be aware of the story of Larkin Gibbs. Larkin, as a young child, suffered from seizures. By the age of 6 or 7, he had grown out of that condition and was left with a desire to help children who suffered from similar ailments. And as a result, in the year 2000, he volunteered to become a counselor for med camps. And in his time at Camp Alabama, he had a vision for gardens that served as a meeting space and that might accommodate camp activities for campers. In that summer that Larkin served as a camp counselor, he had another seizure in his sleep and passed away. And his father decided to memorialize him through building and planting the gardens that Larkin had envisioned for camp.
We wanted something to be a wow factor in the first year, something that would just, everybody would say, well, holy cow, something's going on out here and it's completely different than what we've seen in the past. And that's how we settled on the pavilion. It's right there. It's an entranceway. It's a gateway into camp. And everybody, even people driving down the highway, will see that. and know that something different's going on out at Camp Alabama. The Presbytery asked for three things. They said they wanted functionality, sustainability, and maintainability. You know, something that was useful, something that would last, and something that could actually be maintained. Like if we needed to repair it, we would be able to repair it. So that was the groundwork that was laid. And then it was like, okay, how creative within those three things can these students get? We were blown away by the creativity. There were ideas that came out of that initial meeting that I couldn't fathom. I mean, there was, blew me away. It was not what I was expecting. And I was very surprised and pleased by every submission, even when we narrowed it down to that final 4 or 5 and going through that. That was really neat. And, narrowing those down came down to, okay, we wanted to bring something in that just reminded us of camp. And that's where the narrowing down process got to be what just screams camp. And the design that we ended up on, that iteration that would be transformed into what we have now, it screamed camp. It was just, this is camp.
Challenges are across the board. Sometimes it's personal challenges with the students, sometimes it's the weather, sometimes it's the tools, sometimes it's the design. Every single day is a new challenge.
The very first day of the project, you could see that concrete pad had to be removed, and the initial thought process was, we're going to take sledgehammers and bust it up in a day, it'll be fine. and from swinging all day long, to getting the result that you guys got in that one day. I think that was when, you began to see the realism of, accomplishing your goal.
It doesn't take very long to produce a set of drawings in some way. It takes a lot longer to interpret and then actually kind of build them. In a computer, you can design to the millionth of an inch. In the field, you realize that a 2x4 that's 8 foot long is rarely completely straight. You realize that concrete is really heavy and hard to manage, as it's kind of coming out of the truck. You also realize that steel begins to deflect when you put a torch on it. And those things, in the safety of the computer, you can't simulate that.
In a design build studio, you have all of the challenges of standard construction. You have the weather, your schedule, your budget, your design that inevitably has items still to be resolved in terms of materials or details. And on top of that, you have the dynamics of group work among students, the dynamics of teachers and students attempting to learn together as they complete the project. And all of those come together to create opportunities for difficult situations. But I think the main challenge is to keep a positive attitude about what you're doing and why you're doing it, and keep in mind that you're all on the same team. And when that happens, things generally fall into place, problems get solved, and the challenges of design and construction and of the studio dynamic all seem to melt away when you can gather around a common cause.
I've learned is that class size matters and also scale of the project matter. I've learned that it's difficult to weld in the rain, and yeah.
We hope that our project can be a further extension of the vision that Larkin had for Camp Alabama, and that it adds to the transformational nature of campers' experience of this beautiful place.
It will literally impact thousands of lives that would otherwise not have the opportunity to enjoy something like this. Awesome experience. It's a challenging experience, a little scary at times, because you look at this thing and you say, man, is there any way this is going to be done in time for camp? Is this going to be done? And is it going to be done well? And then to see the completed project, and to know, wow, these kids started just a couple of weeks ago, 10 weeks ago, and now this is here. Everything is awesome. It was awesome.